This
maxi rib is the Scanner NV1400. It's as big as a yacht, but it's a rubber dinghy. And according to many, it is precisely for this reason that it is more captivating than any other boat. Scanner is based in the province of Novara, not far from Lake Maggiore. And since it builds everything within its own structure, it can customize its products following the customer's requests. The design of the hull and deck is the work of the builder as well as the founder, Donato Montemitro. The hull also plays an important role for the style of this model. The other characterising element is the T-top, very large and sustained by solid supports. The tubulars are tapered from stern towards the bow. Above all, they have the purpose of protecting the hull during the berths. At the stern, they do not dive, but the boat is still quite stable. They come into action at the bow only if the sea is rough, to provide greater sustenance on the waves. At the centre of the boat, there are wide and very comfortable side decks for boarding, but also for sitting. The entire deck surface can be covered in teak. There is plenty of space to lie down in the sun in front of the bridge house. The mattress is equipped with a sun canopy, just like on a yacht. The aft sun deck can also be used while sailing, at least within certain speeds, thanks to the tall bulkheads and handrails. It is the cockpit that displays the purpose of this model. It is large and with lots of seats and 2 extendable tables, and is practically at sea level. The customizable kitchen cabinet is protected by the T-top. I'm a bit more demanding when I'm in the command post. However, this console could host the commands and controls of a space station. The symmetry of the piloting sofa is peculiar, with the backrest of the pilot being the tallest. As an alternative to the T-top, they offer a hardtop, also with lateral closures and high windshield for use in less temperate seas. Below deck, they have given space and attention to the dinette area, furnished with a sofa on one side and a drawer unit on the opposite side. The placement of the rooms and the furnishings were influenced by very traditional structural reinforcements. There isn't a real owner cabin, though there is a large double bed at the top. Under the cockpit, there is an additional bed for 2 people. The bathroom perhaps could benefit if it had a little more space, but that depends on the choice of the owner. Like we said, the NV1400 is a handcrafted and customizable product. Under the aft sun deck, we have 2 440 horsepower Volvo Penta diesel engines, the D6s. They have combined them with the new stern drive feet, the DPI, which has hydraulic clutches. And you can feel the difference every time you engage the inverter. You feel it even more with the joystick, and when you maneuver, it's very smooth. Especially if you use the electronic anchor. That is when you almost don't feel the frequent drafts, thanks to this type of propulsion.
Ho provato questo stesso maxi rib con 3 fuoribordo Yamaha da 4.
I tried this same maxi rib with 3 Yamaha 425 horsepower outboards. Here, the overall power is lower, and we have diesel instead of gasoline, so I expect different speeds, but also different consumption.
C'è un'altra cosa che cambia, ed è l'assetto. Con i fuoribordo installati su un bracket.
There is another thing that changes, and that is the trim. With the outboards installed on an additional bracket applied to the transom, the weight is shifted further back. But here, the centre of gravity is more towards the centre of the boat, and this situation allows us to have the ideal angle of incidence, even at low speeds, even now at 12 knots.
Stiamo facendo rotta dal porto di Varazze.
We're heading from the port of Varese to the port of Genoa. It's an autumn day, but the air is not cold. We are navigating well.
Siamo a 20 nodi di velocità. In questo momento I motori sono a 2100.
We are at 20 knots of speed. Right now the engines are at 2,150 RPM. They are engaged at about 50% of their load, and the overall consumption is 52 litres per hour, total 2.8 litres per mile.
Questo scafo ha delle forme molto particolari.
This boat has very particular shapes. It has an extremely sharp bow forehand, and when I point it in the same direction as the waves, I don't feel them.
Non c'è nessun impatto, le apre perfettamente, ma ci costringe a essere, soprattutto a questa
There is no impact. It cuts through them perfectly. But especially at this speed, 25 knots, it forces us to be very precise with the steering wheel. I would say it is responsive. It's like driving a car on the track with a racing setup. The steering wheel becomes very responsive, so you need to be delicate and precise.
A 25 nodi I motori hanno
At 25 knots, the engines have a 60% load and the consumption is 3 litres per navigation mile.
Siamo a 34 nodi e
We're at 34 knots. I remember that at this speed, with the 3 Yamaha 425 horsepower outboards, it took 5 litres per mile. Here, 3.7 are enough.
direi che
I would say that if you navigate for a few miles, this configuration is favourable. Let's see what speed we can reach. Down with the throttle.
giù le manette. Ho navigato a tante diverse velocità e ho sempre visto la prua.
I sailed at many different speeds and I always saw the bow this much under the horizon, which means that the boat has kept its running angle constant, and this is very convenient for those who pilot the boat. Let's try to use a little trim.
Risponde subito ai trim. È chiaro che con onda in prua.
It immediately responds to the trim, clearly pitching slightly increases with wave in the bow, but it is a smooth pitching, and the speed at this time is 41 knots.
Proviamola un po' in virata.
Let's try a little turn, full throttle.
L'angolo di sbandamento è.
The skid angle is impressive. It makes me want to keep my hand on the throttle. You never know.
Non si sa mai. Guardate che l'inclinazione.
Look, the inclination is very impressive.
Però devo dire che non si ingabona.
But I must say that it doesn't heel. In other words, it keeps the same constant angle. Even if I again tighten the radius of evolution.
E sono sempre a manetta. Non ho perso molta velocità.
I didn't lose much speed, I only dropped to 37 knots.
Carena, baricentro e propulsione.
Hull, centre of gravity and propulsion make it a pleasant and easy boat to pilot, even for those who don't have much experience.
Sì, però con i 3 fuoribordo Yamaha.
Though with the 3 Yamaha outboards I had touched 52 knots.
Se avete dei dubbi su questa o sulla versione fuoribordo, posso dire.
If you have any doubts about this or the outboard version, I can tell you that the total price, including the engines, is roughly equivalent, between 620 and 630,000 euros, VAT excluded.